Hi everyone, I'm very happy today because I'm hosting a video with Madisen, aka the Gut Goddess. And today she's going to talk with us about gut brain axis and how we can work on our digestive issues and mental health in the meantime. So Madison, do you want to tell me a bit more about you and your story, your journey?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get into more of like the nitty-gritty details, but just an overview. Yeah, if you see me online, my name is the Gut Goddess, but my real name is Madison, obviously. And I've been in the health world for at least over a decade. I grew up kind of standard. I live in America, so kind of standard American diet, not really good food. Grew up with digestive issues. Did the whole conventional medicine thing when I was, 18 and 19. Got a colonoscopy, endoscopy. Everything was normal. They said probably had IBS. So at that point, I was like, okay, I don't want to be on a medication for the rest of my life. Started diving into all of the holistic alternative realm of everything, right? Diets and supplements and detoxes and cleanses and all the things, and just became like obsessed with health in probably a really good way, but also probably not a really good way. And still was having symptoms. So I'm 33. Most of my symptoms were throughout my entire 20s. So struggled for a really long time in my 20s, just trying to figure out like how am I going to eat all the foods that I want, not go a day without having a bunch of digestive issues and gas and bloating and food sensitivities. And really like no program really like helped me heal. And so I kind of had to trailblaze my own way, figure it all out on my own, figure out all these missing pieces that no even alternative practitioners really helped me with. And honestly, ever since, it's probably been like the last 5 years, have never been better. Like I eat every single food I was sensitive to. I couldn't tell you the last time I had it like a flare up. I travel, I eat out, I don't rely on supplements. I'm not like in this obsessive kind of health place that I used to be. And that's essentially what I help people do, right? I help people heal all of their chronic gut issues without relying on so many restrictions and supplements and testing and just this fear that I did and didn't find success with. And that's what I do. So yeah, it's my full-time gig. So grateful that I get to do this full time. Is just literally helping people with all sorts of digestive issues across the world, right? So a lot of people are in the US, but yeah, I've had people in my programs that are all over the world. So that's a little bit about my story.
Yeah, thank you. I think so many people can relate to that. I know, like, as a holistic psychotherapist, I can see so many people with digestive issues. And of course, it's like, you have this label, oh, I have this, or it's a typo, or I'm trying to kill parasites, or I'm trying to do this and that. And, it's just so many things. And now I can only eat this and that, but still have so many flare ups. And when you get into more integrative approach and you're getting into the work on how's your mental health, how's your nervous system, how are your relationships, not just with food of course, but like your toxic relationships, what are you holding back, or with constipation and stuff like that. And I think when I got I think into your account on Instagram like years ago, and it was all about digestive issues, but what I think is so interesting also for my patients and the people who will see us today is how did you make a connection between your story and your mental health
Mhm.
and the rest of it? Because, of course, I think the pillars you're going to tell us about are quite the same for digestion and for mental health and stuff like that. And, of course, it's all connected. So, can you tell me a bit more about how it changed your life and how you discovered those pillars and how you implemented that in your life story, kind of?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much there. I really never understood the gut and brain connection for so many years. It's crazy now because I look at it and I'm like, of course, it's so connected. It makes perfect sense. Like, it's all so intertwined and connected. But had you talked to me, 10 years ago, I would have said, it has absolutely nothing to do with my gut issues. So it was at this point, I actually, I had a health coach that I hired, I think back in like 2018, 2019. And I was working with him I was very much in a very restrictive diet and taking a bunch of supplements. I was still in a very obsessive kind of controlling, trying to fix all my symptoms. And he just like opened up a conversation. He just opened up a conversation about my stress. He's like, "Tell me about your life. Tell me about what you've been through. Tell me about, how you grew up. Tell me about your relationships." And I began opening up about all this stuff, and he was like, "You're eating amazing. You're taking all the right supplements. You're doing all the right like things." I was like doing all these things on a day-to-day basis. And he's like, have you ever thought that all of this stuff is connected to your digestive issues? And I was like, no way. I've never thought about
Mhm.
this. So that was kind of, he helped a lot in that he kind of planted the seed and opened up this idea of like, there's so much more than taking foods out of your diet, taking probiotics, killing off bacteria. And that's kind of when I started to do, I guess, more research and just more digging and realize like, wow, I'm a really stressed person. I suppress all my emotions. I'm in a terrible relationship. I have all of these massive like stressors in my life that of course are affecting my digestive system. Like how could it not, right? And that was a massive realization. So and I wish it was just like, oh, I did this and this and this and this, but it was like years of making drastic life changes, of like living a life that I actually felt really good about, of reassessing like who am I, what do I stand for, what do I believe, what do I want my days to look like, what career do I want to do? Like it was all these massive life
Mhm.
questions, and it makes sense why a lot of people don't want to go here when they're healing from all of these digestive things, because it's a lot, right? It's like you're kind of having to look at all of your life, right? I kind of had to reassess everything. I'm like, am I happy in my relationships? Do I like, the religion that I grew up in? Am I happy with my career choice? Like just asking a lot of really big questions and realizing deep down like those gut feelings were like, yeah, you're not in a good relationship. You need to leave this relationship, or you need to leave this religion, or you need to quit your job, right? Like this is a lot of big changes that I was definitely not doing, right? I was like just obsessed with eating 100% organic and eating all the right foods and taking all the right supplements, and that was doing a little bit, but it wasn't ever actually addressing like that mental and emotional component that I see is such a massive missing piece for people. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can really relate to that too because I grew up with digestive issues and also like everything being normal because my family was the same and also eating all the bad food because 90s kids,
Yep.
and then I went into mental health and health and I was like really separating both. And then I became to be a bit more obsessive about how I would, or now I can eat the right food and so I can be healthy again and stuff like that. But then without addressing all the toxic issues in my mental health and like my life, my dynamics, toxic family dynamics and stuff like that, nothing went right, even with the best thing. And I think it's something I can see in so many patients. They come and they're like, if I eat the right food, if I take the right supplements, then my life can be right. And so often they come to me like, can I have some techniques for regulation, my nervous system, because I've seen that it's better like this, but I don't want to quit, my burnt out job. I don't want to lose this relationship, even if it's very, very toxic. I don't want to say no to people. I don't want any conflicts, but I really want to get better. So just tell me what I can eat, what I can do at the breath work, and I'm sure it's going to be fine. And I'm like, oh God, no, you can't do that. It's gonna at some point maybe leave you to leave this relationship or outgrow some other relationships or really face that this job is maybe not the job that making you happy. The idea of this job maybe, but not the reality of it. So a lot of people are really scared when it's time to face all these things, but also it's quite the most simplest thing who can really help us. And it all went down to what's really aligned with our core needs. How did you find out like the right path for you?
Really, yeah, self-discovery, right? These are all things, the things that I talk to my clients about and teach them, it's all things that no practitioner really ever taught me that affected, my gut health, right? So
Mhm.
I obviously kind of knew already about the food stuff. I was like, okay, I'm dialed in with all of that. I kind of know about that. Um, but then, yeah, there was that massive mental and emotional component, which I feel like is almost like the core thing behind everything that we do, right? Like, how are we doing these things, right? How do we feel about how we're doing these things? So, yeah, the nutrition piece is massive for my clients. And it's not to say that, you have to eat the most perfect diet in the world. It's like you need to love what you eat, you need to like what you eat, you need to like eat enough and eat that really balanced meals, and there's so much flexibility there. So there's that. Yeah, right. There's the nutrition component that, yes, is super important, but it's not everything, right? That's a piece. Another big thing that I talk to a lot of my clients about is just day-to-day habits, right? Sleep, stress, movement. That was huge. I used to really over
Mhm.
exercise and under eat, and so I was just very depleted. So movement is another piece kind of my pillars. Obviously, sleep and rest and relaxation. That's super important because, again, you can eat the most amazing diet in the world, but if you're sleeping 5 hours a night and you're not getting enough rest, that's going to affect your digestive system.
For sure.
And another piece too is we're looking at the whole entire digestive system, right? I think you'd mentioned you wanted to chat about this because this is also a massive piece. Is like, in the gut health world, we hyper focus on one piece, like, oh, you need stomach acid support, or oh, we need to kill off all the bad bacteria or the parasites in your colon or small intestine. And it's like, your gut is so, there's so many pieces, right? It starts with your brain, your nervous system is affecting it, your thyroid, your mouth, how if you chew your food enough, your stomach
Mhm.
acid, your liver, your gallbladder, your small, large intestine, pancreas, right? All of these things are happening. So that's another piece too. We're zooming out, looking at the digestive system. Like, how is it functioning? What's getting in the way of it working perfectly? And how can we support it to just flow perfectly, right? From brain to bottom. So again, this was like years, right? Years of things that no practitioner ever told me about. They didn't tell me like that my thyroid had anything to do with my chronic food sensitivities, or
Mhm.
that my sleep was a really big thing, or that my movement. No one asked me about, what does your exercise look like on a day-to-day basis? They didn't even really ask me that. It was just, here's a diet, here's some food restrictions, here's some supplements to take. So I mean, it really is, it all sounds very, to me, it sounds very intuitive now, but again, I'm thinking of my past self. I would have never put the two and two together of like, oh, you're exercising every single day, you're running for miles and miles and miles, and you're chronically restricting your diet. Well, that's a part of why my gut wasn't working. Also, yeah, sleep, stress, my digestive system, right? All of these pieces, it's just like these foundational pieces that, like you said, affect your mental health, affect your hormones, like how your body is functioning, how you're nourishing your body, what your movement looks like, what your sleep looks like, what your stress and nervous system look like. Like, it all affects everything, right? So I feel like it's really easy to just dumb it down to diet and supplements, but it's really way more, it's simple, but it's also complex, right? There's all these moving parts and pieces. And for me, it was never one thing. It was never just, oh, I just needed to regulate my nervous system. It was like, no, it was partly the food stuff, and it was partly the stress stuff, and it was partly the movement and the sleep and the stress on my digestive system. It was like, it was all of it, and then it all kind of came together, which I think is, again, it's more complex, right? We're dealing with more little like details, but that's the way to get actually fully healed versus stay in this chronic state of always being on a diet, always having to take supplements, and always having to worry about your digestive, what's your gut going to do in the background, right? Like, you can do that, right? You can manage symptoms with supplements and with diet, but getting to the place where you're like, I can't remember the last time I had a flare. I can eat whatever I want now. Like, my gut is just working, and I'm not even having to think about it. Like, that happens when you're addressing all of these pieces. Yeah.
Definitely. And usually I used to say to my patient, it's very, very simple, but it doesn't mean it's easy. It's
Yes.
kind of, and sometimes the part who seems very easy is not that easy. Like, just rest more. Okay, so I need to make sure I deserve some rest. I need to get back, out of the hustle culture we're in, or maybe I grew up with. I have to now believe that my self-esteem is good enough to help me, get all these nutrients, but also all this time, all this, time off or rest or anything. And it's a lot to work on, but it's not that hard to make it if you commit, kind of. So yeah, I bet it's been a big journey, and I really want to focus again, maybe to something you said, who's really relatable to some of my patients who are women, super active and super into sports and so on, and they're like, oh, I don't know, I'm like doing this CrossFit exercise or the heat, there is, I think now it's better, but I remember for a year I had so many patients doing heat because it was like, yes, it's a faster way to heat and burn my fat, it's going to be great, and they were so burnt out and so depleted. It was awful for their thyroid and adrenals and everything. And of course, it didn't make them lose the weight, which makes them feel worse in self-esteem. So exercising more, you know.
Mhm.
So maybe you can tell us a bit more about what really it does to our body to exercise so much and to be so depleted because you don't eat enough, because usually this is what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this is the epidemic of 90s women, right?
Mhm.
At least especially in the gut health world, because I mean, you look at anything online, even to this day, it's like, okay, well, you have gut issues. You have to take out gluten, dairy, sugar, soy, carbs, fruit, high FODMAP food, right? The list is insane. So I can relate to a lot of women because I never really like restricted my diet because I wanted to lose weight. I restricted my diet because I was always trying to heal. But
Mhm.
in a way, I was always on a diet. I essentially was always on some gut healing diet my entire 20s. I was vegan, vegetarian, low FODMAP, GAP, SIBO, carnivore, keto, everything in between. And I find this is one of the massive missing pieces for people that no practitioner really ever looked at, like, okay, are you actually eating enough fuel to give you enough calories for your digestive system to actually heal, right? If you think about your digestive system, it is like your body really doesn't want to digest, right? If there's stress, if there's like if there's stressors going on, if you're exercising, right, your body's like, we're not trying to digest food. So, when you combine under eating, which I think so many women either consciously do or unconsciously, like myself, I did, or consciously do because they're trying to lose weight or look a certain way, you're shutting off your digestive system. Your body's like, we do not have enough calories to provide for our like basic needs, let alone put in energy for our digestive system, right? I think of digestion and reproduction. That goes like any kind of excessive stressor, whether that's like mental, emotional, physical, that goes to the wayside, right? Digestion, reproduction. So it's like, of course, lots of women our age grew up chronically restricting food, always on a diet. And yeah, also over exercising. And I think exercise is amazing when you have enough fuel, right? Like I do cardio now. I couldn't do cardio years ago because I was so incredibly depleted, but I can do it now. Of course, it's not every single day, like hit training. But now I eat a lot of food and I have really good sleep and I manage my stress really well, and like I have the energy to do that versus so many women. They have this, yeah, they're chronically under eating unintentionally or intentionally, whether that's, yeah, they're trying to lose weight or they're trying to heal their gut or they're just on some kind of elimination diet. And then you combine that with chronic overexercising, and it's like your body it's so depleted, right? And I think about digestion, right? Again, digestion is it's energy intensive, right? You need
Mhm.
calories, you need nutrients, your body needs all this good blood flow because there's so many things going on, right? Your nervous system has to be in a good state. And so to me it makes so much sense, just with the way that many of us grew up, that we have a lot of chronic hormonal and gut issues, right? Because
Mhm.
of chronic overexercising, chronic undereating, and both of them together just makes perfect sense. Why?
Yeah. And I mean, it makes me think about a sentence we have on TV, like on repeat in France. Every time we would have like an ad for biscuits or I don't know,
Oh yeah.
then it says, eat less, move more.
Yeah.
And it's like this is basically the sentence. So mangez moins, bougez plus. And it's like it's so wrong because usually you address like it's not that simple. We all have, this friend who has a different metabolism and who's eating McDonald's every day and who's like thin like this, and the other friend who would drink, a glass of water and be um, overweight, basically. So we know it's not as easy, but this sentence on repeat, I can see it on my patient. It's like, it's easy. I have to eat less and less. And then I have to work more and move more and exercise early in the morning, even if I have a very big day. And so I'm gonna be, they are just stressed just by that. And then by the food fears, oh, now if I eat, you know, now I have the word in Portuguese in my head and not in English. If I eat meat, it's going to be bad for the environment. And then it's going to be bad for me because it has cholesterol in it. And then I'm going to miss out on actually zinc and, vitamin B and so many nutritions, food, so many nutrients. And I think it's very, very bad for our health in general and our mental health. And I mean, the people who have the most anxiety on my
Mhm.
patients are always the one who came with a vegan diet or very super restrictive diet,
Yes.
whether they are, identifying as if or not. Usually, are you vegan? No, I'm not vegan. Do you eat meat? Oh no, I don't eat meat.
Yeah.
Do you eat eggs or cheese? Oh no, no, it's very bad. It's too much fat. And then you wonder why you are feeling bad in your body, of course. So
I
yeah.
know. I know. Yeah, it's crazy. The just I at least for me, even when it just feels like it's even more overwhelming nowadays, right? When I was kind of going through all of my gut stuff, I wasn't on Instagram. I was still consuming information, right? I was still listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos and things. But the amount of information nowadays, I'm like, ooh, it's a thing that I work on with every single client. I'm like, okay, there's so many stories that we have to just break apart, look at where they're coming from, right? Just about food stuff or in general just health stuff, right? About certain foods. It's just the amount of information I feel like has even just added to the food fear, which as we know has a drastic impact on your mental health even nowadays.
Yes, definitely. I think the informations and the culture, because if you make an Instagram post who's saying what you are eating every day is very bad for you, then everyone's gonna click. And so we have so many content like this, like you're doing this wrong, you shouldn't do this, and you have been wrong this whole time and stuff like that. And it's really a scroll stopper, but it's also
Yes.
like your nervous system being, oh my god, this is wrong. And this comfort food you had, or this thing you always digested well and
Yeah.
wasn't an issue for you before, then it became, oh, now that I'm eating it, I'm really thinking about it again and thinking maybe it's bad for me or it's bad for this and this, and now I can't stop, and now I'm not just enjoying my food, I'm just fearing everything. And I
Yeah.
remember I've been in a challenge with you, one of your challenges you made, and I remember two big parts for me were when you address like the food fears and also the are you eating enough, because I
Mhm.
remember all these women saying, oh, I realize I don't eat enough, I don't eat enough. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be very good at this, I
Yeah.
will not have this issue. And then I was like, oh wow, I'm really not eating enough. It's really important I say it, because there are so many people who are like, yeah, I know, I've seen the post, I've read the books, and I know I don't have these issues. But when you dig into what you are eating in your day-to-day life, when you're stressed, when you're on a
Mhm.
rush and stuff like that, it can be very easy to not pay attention to that and have other issues. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree with all of that. Yeah, it's almost like I mean, just going back to everything, you could just kind of have to reassess every aspect of your life, kind of getting rid of all the wellness noise, and then yeah, looking at everything with a more with a more open mind, because again, when I was going through all my health stuff, I was like, oh, I'm not stressed. I eat enough. And I just was, I just denied all those things. I'm not over exercising. Like, how could I be over exercising? You know,
Mhm.
and just, I had these like very firm beliefs of like, I'm not doing anything wrong. But then I was like, you know what? If I was doing all the right things, I would be feeling better by now, but I'm not. So I had to really get curious and like look at things. And then I was like, okay, wow, I'm definitely not doing all the things. I'm doing a lot of things that are not only not great, or not only not helping me heal, but are actually keeping me from healing, you know? Yeah.
You want to let us know like how you work with your clients in your one-on-one sessions or in your program, and what could be your advice to people, basically
Mhm.
as a start.
As a start, yeah. Okay, so yeah, when somebody joins one of my programs, it's all the things, right? We're going through all these different aspects, right? Because this is the way. This is how you're going to, get to a place where you're eating all the foods, food freedom. So we're addressing all these different pieces, right? So with clients, yeah, like I said, it's the nutrition piece, and it's not just, okay, here's the meal plan, here's what foods to avoid, here's what foods to eat. It's like, do you like your food? Are you eating enough? Are you eating all the foods that, are going to be actually really gut healing and nourishing, that include meat and dairy and sugar and carbs and fruit and all of those things.
Mhm.
So we work through that big nutrition piece. We work through the stress and digestion piece. So we're looking at, okay, how is your digestive system working? What needs some more support? And that could be something as simple as, yes, adding in a supplement, but also like mindset shifts and lifestyle shifts, right? Like if you're scarfing down your food 5 minutes on your lunch break, well, you don't need more enzymes. You need to have some boundaries with your work. And we got to talk about that, right? What does that look like? So that you can actually sit down and eat and enjoy your meal, right? So we're working through all the different pieces, right? Brain, nervous system stuff. Yes, getting more like sciencey, like, yes, does your stomach acid need some more support? Do you need some thyroid support? Do you need some liver support? So we're going through all of that. We're going through sleep, movement, any other stressors. I also love teaching clients how to reintroduce foods, because that was massive for me. So teaching clients, okay, you're eating 10 safe foods now. How are we going to get you to a place where you're eating everything, right? So we're
Mhm.
chatting through all of that. Chatting through, of course, always all the mindset pieces, right? Like you said, I could tell you all day long, you need to rest more, you need to manage your stress better, you need to eat these foods. But if you have all of this mental chatter in the background and you don't feel worthy, or you don't feel, you have all this stress and anxiety about the food that I'm telling you to eat, like we need to, we work through all of those details, um, because as you know, right, with mental health, I studied psychology, sociology, right? Knowing something is not it's not enough, right? You can
Sure.
know
Yeah.
all day long, I need to do X, Y, and Z. But if you don't have somebody to work through the limiting beliefs, the barriers, what's coming up, then, again, you're never going to do the thing that you know that you need to do. So,
Or you need to believe it in your emotional brain too, not just, in your
exactly.
prefrontal cortex. Yeah.
Yeah, your logical mind. Yeah, you have to address all of that. So, I work with people for like 6 months. Sometimes I'm almost like I could work with people for years, because there's just like so much to work through. But really, that's how it works. It's super slow and steady. It's never, here's a diagnosis for a new disease that you have. Here's a protocol to address it. See you in 5 months. It's very hands on. Um, it's very much, yeah, holistic, getting into all these little different pieces. And I mean, it's essentially like what I wish I had, what I wish I had when I was going through all this stuff and trying to put it all together myself. So yeah, that's what it looks like. Just kind of overarching view.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And do you maybe for the people who don't know about it, like tell us more about what are your programs or the kind of specific option we can have working
Yeah.
with you?
Yep. So I have a main one-on-one group or one-on-one program. So that's working just with me directly, right? So there's that just private mentorship, private coaching. I have a group coaching program. And then I'm also I'm reassessing because I want to serve as many people as I can. So I'm thinking of doing some other like mini offers or a way that people can work with me, and have access to my curriculum, which is walking through all of these different steps, but maybe not have as much, one-on-one support. So things coming soon for that. But yeah, one-on-one group, small group coaching, and then some potential other things in the future. Yeah.
Great. Do you have any advice or something you want to say before we stop this video? Like for the people who are, in a place we were before, like so lost with, and also I think identifying so much with the symptoms, right?
Yeah.
Because I've never had a life symptom free, so maybe I just can't heal, or this is just the way my body works, or stuff like that. What would you say to this kind of person?
Yeah. I mean, that's the first. Everybody's always asking, okay, where do I start? Right? Where do I start with everything? That's the first place to start, right? If you
Mhm.
don't believe that you can be symptom free, you can eat gluten again and not have a flare, you can go out to eat and nothing happens, you can get off all your supplements. If you don't internally deep down believe that's possible for you, that's going to make this entire process does not work, right? Because then you're not going to make the steps to actually get to that place. So that was one of the biggest things, for me, was just really assessing, like, what do I want my health to look like, and how am I finding proof that that's possible. And a big piece of that for me was I stopped following so many people in the health world. I just started really being particular about, like, what information am I intaking that's affecting, like, what life I want to live, right? So I stopped following so many different people. I started, following people who were actually living like the life that I wanted to live, who were eating, eating, of course, balanced and really well. They're really healthy, but they're also, were able to eat out on the weekend and nothing happens. And so I think
Mhm.
that's the starting point, is working on the belief system around healing, around all those things, right? Because if you think it's really hard, it's going to be really hard to heal. I'm never going to get to the place where I can eat whatever food you want again. I have to. It's going to be really stressful. It's going to be really complicated, right? Those are all limiting beliefs that are affecting how you're even showing up on a day-to-day basis for your health, right? So I would say that's the starting place before you even think about, eating more food, or, getting off supplements or getting sunshine on a day-to-day basis, right? It's like that,
Mhm.
like, deep core belief of, like, healing is so possible. It's like so within reach. It's right around the corner, and I, like, get to be to the place where whatever your dream is, right? You want to travel across the country and eat croissants. It's like, yeah, that's possible. Like, why wouldn't it be possible for you? So I think there's not like a step-by-step thing for doing that piece, but it's really like
Sure.
it's like looking at, what do I believe is possible, and believing that, yeah, everything that you want in regards to your health is completely possible. That's the only reason I'm here, right? I could easily have just stayed gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, never traveled again, kept taking all my supplements that I was spending hundreds of dollars on. Like, I could have stayed there, just to, like, manage things. But I had this deep down sense of knowing of, like, I want more for myself. I know this is possible. I have no idea how I'm going to make it happen, but I'm going to make it happen. I don't care how long it takes. um to working on that, like, that core belief of, like, this is beyond possible for you. That's the place to start, because then once you're in that headspace, you're open. You're like, I don't care how long this takes. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna hire the coach. I'm gonna do the hard thing that I
Mhm.
know that I need to do, right? You're gonna start taking the steps to actually make it happen.
Yes, well, I can't agree more, actually. And it made me think about a story I have with a patient who she arrived over exercising and under eating, of course.
Yeah.
And I remember she was really afraid of eating because she said, like, every time I eat, I'm so bloated that I have to change my pants because then they don't fit anymore, and it's like I'm uncomfortable, but also it's kind of painful. And I'm saying to myself, like, if I eat, I'm gonna have this bloat and pain, and then I'm gonna have to take off my pants, and I'm gonna feel bad, and so on. And so I told her about the study about the milkshake. I don't know if you know about it. It's
Yeah.
like the fatty milkshake and the diet milkshake.
Yeah.
So for the people who don't know this study, it's a study very very easy. Who people were trying to taste a milkshake. One were very fat, and they were trying to see which one will make people gain more weight, and which one will be more delicious, or which one will make them feel more full, and stuff like that, and how their even sugar spike would work with it, and so on. And so, no surprise there, the fatty milkshake was better, like the taste was better, but also the people gained more weight, kind of, and they were having more sugar spike from it, and feeling more full. And the other one, like we can expect, it was less enjoyable, but also they got more hungry. Sorry, it's the end of the day, so my English is very bad, and so on. But the real study it was actually the really same milkshake. But the belief people had about this milkshake made their body respond. It wasn't just the taste, it wasn't just the fullness. It was really like how their body will respond to it different. And so I just told her a story, and I was like, like, you need to maybe pay attention to what you believe when you are eating, because if you believe you're going to have this bloat and pain, maybe it's going to happen. But if you believe maybe not, then we can find out. And she told me, so it's a very, of course, it doesn't work like this with everyone, but for her, it was just one session like this. And we went through the milkshake story. And after that, she said, my bloating stopped.
So
She never had a bloat again after eating. She was like, because I think it's really what you just said. She finally believed it. She finally had a true idea of maybe it's just my belief around it, the issue, and not actually the fact of eating, making this issue.
yeah.
And just stopped. And of course, she still had work to do, and she still had other issues, and it's not magical, but the belief changed everything in her body response. So I think, yeah, it was a great advice.
So amazing. I also tell clients that story
Yeah.
too. Because when we talk about, food fear and how you feel about your food affects how you digest it, and everybody thinks it's this foreign concept or it's not proven. It's like, no, this is actual science. There is scientific
Mhm.
studies to show the way that you feel about your food affects the way that you digest it. And this is so true with any kind of digestive issue, right? If you believe like, oh, this is bad, this is going to make me bloated, I'm going to have a flare, it's it's not to say that's the only cause, but that's a massive piece, right? But if you
Mhm.
I've experienced this myself, like I used to flare up with like one bite out to eat. And it was because I had this insane fear that this isn't good enough, it's not organic, it has this random ingredient in it, and now I can go out to eat no problem. And again, of course, there's lots of other pieces to that, but my belief about the food is completely different, and that affects how my body is digesting food. Yeah.
Definitely. And it comes back to what we were saying about Instagram and information.
Sometimes it's almost better to know less. I feel like that especially in
Definitely.
today's age, just to because I see so many people eating whatever, just whatever, and it's like they're not having chronic gut issues. So it's again, it's like this fine balance of knowing enough but knowing not too much, because then it can create so much fear
Yeah,
around life, right? Not even just food, just like, oh
sure,
well,
sure.
yeah, I just have to micromanage my entire day to be healthy. And it's like, well, there's people who stay up really late with their friends and sleep amazing, or drink alcohol and on the weekends. And I don't know. There's there's so much of a mental component to all of this. Yeah.
Definitely. And also, I think trusting about our body also changed. I got, years ago, I got so many migraines. It was like every week, twice a week. 2 days, very bad. And then I had one very, very bad migraine with aura, which means basically you're looking like you're having a stroke, but it's from a migraine. And I had this friend who told me, I cut off gluten, and I had the same issues. I cut off gluten, and now I'm great. But this friend, she was better, but she was always fearing gluten for her whole life. And somehow I had to stop. Not had, but I stopped eating gluten because, like, for my husband was on another diet for his chronic illness, and it was part of the process, and so on. And I realized, indeed, my migraines were gone. So it was a really good thing for me to stop. But what I also realized was that after somehow healing some of my digestive tract, or I don't know, while doing this for a few months, I could eat again the gluten and have no issues at all. And now I can eat gluten like every day and doesn't have any issue with that. So sometimes it's true that if you stop eating something, you're going to heal somehow because it's connected. But it's also true that your body can recover on a more deeper level. And of course, I did so many other stuff in my life and on my healing journey in the meantime. And then you can eat again these things. So it was true that you had a flare up with it, but now it's also true that you don't have it anymore. And I think it's everything about like your work, basically, to help people understand that it's not like for life, and you can really understand and get better no matter the kind of symptoms you have or the kind of restriction you need to have right now, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I love that because you said it was true that I did take it out and I felt better, and it's also true that I can eat it every single day now, right? Like those
Sure.
two get to coexist, and I've seen that all the time. Like
Mhm.
I think it was great that for a period of time I was really particular about what I ate because I never really had before, when growing up. And so it was good, but then it led me down this really obsessive controlling path. But yeah, that's the whole idea is like, yes, sometimes taking foods out or getting really, like disciplined with your routines or whatever it is, that can be really great. And also, you shouldn't have to stay like that forever, right? You shouldn't have to live there forever.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. It was so interesting, as always.
Thank you.